A one and a two and a chick-a-boom a chick.
In this episode of Remodelers on the Rise, I talked to Tom Reber with the Contractor Fight. Pretty sure it's Reber. I didn't verify with him. So Tom, if I butchered that, my apologies, sir. Tom with the Contractor Fight. Been looking forward to this because the whole topic and conversation was around mindset, was around confidence, and those are two underappreciated, not talked about as much topics that play such a critical factor in building a successful remodeling business, and frankly, play such a critical factor in our overall lives. We started by kind of getting into coaching and just a variety of topics before we really settle in to talk about mindset and confidence. Tom kind of took the conversation pretty deep. I piggybacked off of that, and I do hope that you get some good, solid takeaways and that this kind of shakes you up a little bit, challenges you, gets you uncomfortable, and all of that. Thank you for listening, and enjoy this episode. So I just started the recording, and I like to do this from time to time because we're talking about something interesting. Literally, this will probably be how the podcast starts. So I hope you're ready, because I didn't ask you if you're ready. Tom.
Good.
Hi, Tom. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Tom, good. Tom with the Contractor Fight. What Tom was just talking about, I was just talking to him about his YouTube channel. What is your YouTube channel, by the way? Do you know the URL?
It's Contractor Fight TV.
Oh, even better. .com? Like if you go there?
You just go to YouTube, type in Contractor Fight, I'll pop up.
Contractor Fight TV. And I was mentioning to him, like, the thumbnails he's using are interesting. And I was actually saying, hey, I meant to click and watch some more of your video, but then I think this is interesting. That's why I clicked record. Is you were just talking about how, I just paid to go see a guy that really has this stuff down pat. And man, I learned, my eyes opened so much to the next level, the next level, the next level, and all of the things that I could be doing. I'm already getting traction with what I'm doing, but I could be doing so much more. And I was about to share a story from, it was about a year and a half ago. I went to this thing called Heroic Public Speaking out in Philadelphia. Okay. And I like to public speak. I've spoke at the National Remodeling Show, a lot of home builder associations. I kind of have just a natural knack for it, and I enjoy it. And what happened was when I went there and spent 2 days actually learning what it takes to be a professional public speaker, my biggest takeaway was like, oh crap, there's so much more that I could be learning, I could be doing. So where I'm wanting to tie this in, and just even where we're starting is, okay, remodelers, you're listening to this. When you think of your sales process, when you think of your marketing, when you think of, I've been on this tangent a lot lately, when you think of how you're managing your team, yes, it's overwhelming to think of all the different ways to get better, but it's also encouraging. Like this game of business, we get to play it for a long time and just realize, wow, okay, I'm here, I'm at this level now. What does it take? I don't love using the proverbial next level. I think it's played out a little bit, but there's so many more ways to improve and tweak and change. And we gotta want to do that. We gotta keep being inspired to do that. And maybe this podcast might inspire people to kind of step up their game in different levels. So I wanted to start right there. I think there's some value there of just keep improving, right? Any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure how this helps a remodeler. Maybe it does, but between a couple coaches here,
yeah.
What I found is that I've been coaching so long, I've coached so many people, that if I'm not careful, I get into this mindset of thinking that I have the answer for everything. Mm-hmm. It's every day people are DMing me and emailing me and my clients and my coaching calls and this and that. And it's always like, Tom, what should I do? And Tom, here's my situation. Tom. I have to intentionally pick myself up, take myself somewhere where I'm literally like the dumbest dude in the room about a certain topic or something. And I have to, it's a humility thing. Like I won't go on, but like it was about 2 years ago, I woke up one day and I had realized that it had been a year since I hired a coach for something. And I was like, oh man, that ain't good. Like I got to drink my own Kool-Aid here. And so I'm super active in coaching, and I'm like being a student, and I'm always looking. I drop a lot of money. I jumped on a plane last month and dropped, I don't know, $5,000-$6,000 when you figure all the expenses and the coaching stuff to learn how to be a little bit better on YouTube. You know, for a guy who's totally kicking butt.
Let me jump off of that because it's the same. I was in a rut a couple of years ago. So I've been doing this for about 11 years. And a couple of years ago, I'm like, crap, I'm the one that needs to inspire, to be the one encouraging, inspiring. And I'm not feeling very inspired. Right. And I think business owners can relate to that of like, man, I'm pouring it out. I'm pouring it out to my clients, to my employees, to my trade partners. I'm picking up my plumber and just trying to encourage him, like give, let alone now I've got to go home and I've got my spouse, I've got my kids, I've got faith, I've got my hobbies, I've got all these areas in life. Right. And what I realized a couple of years ago is, you know why I'm not feeling very inspired? I'm not consuming any books. I'm not reading. I'm not watching any videos to inspire me. I'm not just putting myself in a position to talk to somebody that could inspire me. So whether it is even just like you're talking about dropping coin, which is also a good thing to consider and to think about. You could hire me or you could hire Tom. We're good. That was funny. As a coach, right? To have a coach, but picking up a stinking book, go to your bookshelf and look through it and say, boy, I remember reading, even if you read part of it and you remember it kind of rocking you a little bit and really inspiring you, pick up that stinking book again and read it. We've got to keep feeding ourselves with new ideas, new information. And frankly, I guess we might be preaching to the choir, because if you're listening to this podcast, you're realizing, wait a minute, I've got to learn. So just keep pushing into that.
Well, I'm a big, and listen, I just shared a minute ago, I put my money where my mouth is. I spend a lot of money, thousands of dollars a year, on my own personal development and coaching and things like that. And here's why, because I firmly believe, and I heard this statement somewhere, so it ain't mine, but those who pay attention. Yeah. And I have gotten, like, for example, this YouTube coaching, I've gotten other people to give me YouTube advice and coaching and spend time with me. But when I was stroking a big ass check for it, I paid a lot more attention, and I could pull up all these notes and plans that I've done now, because I'm like, I made this investment. And so I want to encourage anybody listening to this. It doesn't have to be either one of us. It could be anybody, but go spend money on books, go to events, get around other winners. Okay. Hire a coach. If you don't know how to run a company meeting or something, hire somebody just to coach you on that. It doesn't have to be this big, long, dragged out coaching program. But I'll tell you what, you drop, I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to learn one little thing in your business, that domino effect is going to make you hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars over the next 20 years.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So what's interesting here, and just to give people some backstory, Tom and I don't know each other too well. I had been following some of his content. It's just one of those things of like, here's a guy that's passionate about helping contractors, helping, remodelers, and been following his content and just reached out and said, actually, I think I'd been meaning to reach out, and I think your assistant, what's his name?
Roz, her name's Roz.
Yeah, he reached out and said, hey, Tom would, Roz? Rosalind, I would like to, if you're listening to this, Rosalind, I would like to take a minute just to apologize to you. I should have done a little bit more prep. 5P is a thing I like to tell my clients to do. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Yeah. I did not properly 5P for this podcast, and I would like to apologize for you. That's a lot of P's in there. So we reached out, and we talked just for a good, half hour, 40 minutes. That's literally been our relationship so far. But what I heard when we talked was there's a little bit of kindred spirits. There's a little bit of like, we're encouragers, we're coaches, we're passionate about it. And the big thing that I want to just talk about for the rest of this podcast is something that I was kind of zeroing in on when you were talking, when we had that conversation a month or so ago, is about mindset, is about confidence. And I've had this, it's such a huge factor in building a successful business, in managing your people well, in selling your services and product for the amount that you need to. Mindset and confidence. And I think it's just an it's not talked about enough. It's an underappreciated aspect. Like, you could be an amazing designer. You could be an amazing carpenter. But man, that confidence and that mindset can play such a huge factor in, are you a successful remodeler? Are you profitable? Are you enjoying it? People can feel confidence. People can sense that. So I wanted to kind of zero in on that, because I think you talk about that a lot, is related to mindset and confidence. So it's a little bit of a kind of open-ended question of like, how does having a proper mindset factor into, and I'm putting remodelers, since this is remodelers on the rise, contractor, very similar. How does having the proper mindset factor into being a successful remodeler? Well,
I firmly believe with all of my heart, and and I started out a contractor. I owned and sold a painting company, and we did hundreds of jobs a year and things like that. And I grew up in the trades, and I've been around it my whole life. And so most contractors, remodelers, builders struggle. Most rob from their family. They cheat themselves. They're busy. They're not fulfilled. They're amazing craftsmen. They love what they do. But unfortunately, they have little to show for it after a long career. Most don't have a retirement. Most are, it's the up and down cycle of business, things like that. And here's what I've come to realize. 90% of your success in your business is going to be in your head. And the other 10% is math. I mean, it's really, to me, it's that simple. And I've worked with companies that have been a startup all the way to, I've had some clients, 40, 50, $60 million in annual revenues and everything in between. And the ones that are the most successful year in, year out, that have a nice bank account and they're not on the hamster wheel and things like that, they have dialed in the mindset piece. And so in the Contractor Fight, just give you a quick history on this. It's called the Contractor Fight because there's a battle between our ears. And when we win that battle between our ears, everything else is easier. Now, it's not going to be an easy road. You're still going to struggle. You're still going to, fight and claw and grind, but you're going to have a much quicker road to success when you get your head right. And so, and in our world, in our programs and things like that, everything starts with what I call owning your crap. Okay. So I have a private Facebook group. It's a free group, but the cover charge is within 24 hours, you got to post a video or do a written post sharing how your crap has held your business back. And your crap is not like I suck at marketing. No, that's not your crap. Your crap is a character issue. I'm a procrastinator. I'm a chicken when it comes to talking about money. I let my guys walk all over me, things like, and it's something in your character. Yeah. What's funny is I think right now we have just under 2,000 members in it, and we've kicked out, we call it giving them the axe. Roz, she actually goes through, and if you haven't owned your crap within 24 hours, she axes you out of the group. And so I think in the past year and a half, we've axed out about between 4,000 and 5,000 people that didn't own their crap. And so, I just want the right people with the right mindsets, because I believe you got to hang around people that are like-minded. And if we can't just look in the mirror and go, okay, what's the real honest crap? Not the outside stuff, not the economy, not my guys are idiots or customers are cheap. Guys, that's a load of bull. All right. The real issue why you're not more successful in your business, the real issue why your credit card's getting denied at the gas pump, like happened to me a million times when I was a younger contractor and things like that, is because you haven't gotten your head right. And so everything starts with owning your crap, because and there's a song, I just heard this song recently. I think the band is called Bring Me the Horizon.
Hang on. I'm not going to let you just speak the words. I expect you to sing it. No? Do we want to hear that?
No, we ain't singing it, man.
All right, then speak the lyrics.
I don't know it well enough to even sing it. But there's a line in the song that says, I think the song's called Mantra by Bring Me the Horizon or something like that. And it's before the truth will set you free, it'll piss you off. Mm-hmm. And that's really what owning your crap is about. Like, I'm also a high school football coach for 17 years. And yesterday I was talking to my team and I said, guys, success is going to come when you hate losing more than you want to win. And that's a mindset thing. Like, and are you willing to get uncomfortable? Do you hate losing in life, business, sports, whatever it is? Do you hate losing enough to be willing to do the uncomfortable things, to do the things you don't feel like doing when you feel like doing them, and things like that? So that's those are the things. Those are the things that separate winners from losers, success from failure. The what you were talking about earlier of like, well, it's my employees, it's my this or that. A lot of times it's the economy. My first coach, actually, a guy named Dove Gordon, taught me this phrase of, that's hacking at the leaves. Like, that's hacking the leaves instead of striking at the root. Right. Which is another way of what you're saying there of like, we hack at the leaves and we think we're doing something. No, we got to strike at the root, which is our mindset. So unpack
And actually, what you said earlier between the head, I'm going to read this. This is going to be the grand finale of this podcast. Is, huh?
I said, look out, here it comes.
Yeah, look, it's going to be the grand finale. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see that I've got this little picture thing in the background, but I'm going to read something. It's going to be the grand finale because it's talking about this battle between, different parts of our head. But mindset. So, okay, yeah, very nice. Loved what you just said there about mindset. Let's unpack that a little bit though of like, so what does that mean? How do I identify what's wrong in my mindset? How do I improve my mindset? How do we attack that? Share some thoughts on that.
Once you look in the mirror and realize, you just come to terms, you're honest about it, right? So I'll give you an example. For me, my crap for many years, I grew up and I rode the short bus. I was a short bus kid for 2 years in grade school, the little yellow short bus. And I was in a special ed class for a couple of years. I think it was like second and third grade or something like that. And that one thing I carried through my whole life. I'm 49 years old right now. And until I was about,
you look great for 49, by the way.
Thanks, man. Shoot, I just lost you on my screen. Where'd you go? There you are. All right,
that's
cool.
Right.
That was weird. When I was about 40 years old, so my son just walked in. He's my video guy. Sorry, got distracted. Squirrel.
No, trust me. We're talking to a bunch of contractors or modelers. Nobody can relate to this whole distraction and squirrel. I'm sure nobody listening to this has any tendencies towards ADHD or ADD, myself and Tom included. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I believed I was stupid, and I knew it. It was like this baggage I was lugging around, and I never really came to terms. I never owned it. And then when I finally owned it, I'm like, man, this is the thing that's holding me back. There was an event. It was a nonprofit event, a leadership event for college guys. It was held in Cabo. The guy who puts it on is one of the founders of Ticketmaster, and he basically dug for water in the desert. Now we have Scottsdale, Arizona, and he had 40 or so other companies and this and that. And he puts this leadership thing on. And one of the guys on his board is a good buddy of mine who's a multi-millionaire contractor. And for 2-3 years, my buddy invited me to come down and be a part of this event and speak at it and all this other stuff. And for 2 or 3 years, I said no. And the reason that I said no was I rode the short bus, barely graduated high school, dropped out of college, never believed I was smart. And I'm like, and here, I'm like 39, 40 years old at the time, man. And I'm going, and I've accomplished a lot. I've been in the military, Marine Corps. I built a successful business, all this other stuff, but I still had this bullshit crap in my head that I was stupid. And I didn't want to go stand in front of 100 college guys and talk to them and be the only dumb guy in the room. Does that make sense? And so that was blocking me. That was my crap that I had to own. And then one day I woke up and I said, one of the things I was taught in fighting is if I'm going to, and people on YouTube can see this, but in the podcast, if I'm going to haul off and punch you in the face, the worst thing that could happen is for my punch to get the full force because it's going to hurt more. And so when somebody's going to punch me in the face, you flip it and you run towards the punch. Okay, run towards the punch, so then it doesn't reach full force, doesn't hurt as much. Then you choke the dude out, right? So I'm like, how can I run into the punch here? I'm afraid to go to this event. I'm afraid to be exposed as a fraud and being stupid and all this other stuff. So the next time he asked me the next year. I went down there, and let me say this as well. I was, I don't know, a few years maybe off of a personal bankruptcy, so that's adding to the crap. You know what I'm saying? I've been through the ringer. So I had all these things in my head of all these reasons why I shouldn't go. And I'm like, so anybody who's dealing with any of their crap and confidence issues and things like that, I think the best thing that you could do is run into the punch. Go toe to toe with the thing that scares you the most. If you're afraid to talk to a customer about money, then get some stinking coaching on money mindset. Get some coaching on how to really sell. Immerse yourself in that. So anyway, long story short, I went down there.
Pause there though, because there's several things. That thought of what is that thing that's holding us back? We all have, and it. I think through life, self-awareness is kind of the phrase that's coming to mind. Like, how much self-awareness do we have? We are moving so fast. We've got so many things to do. When was the last time you actually analyzed your behavior, why you do what you do, why you act the way you act? And what's so tricky about it is it took you a couple decades to kind of unpack it of like, crap, that's why this happened. That's why I did that. That's why this happened. And once you arrived at that self-awareness of understanding, okay, that's why things are happening, now we can do something about it. So whether it's like money issues, a lot of times stem way back, of not having enough, of worrying about making investments in your business that you need to do as a business owner, but making that investment, that fear of that, where's that rooted at? And what is the plan? Maybe that means you need bigger comfort level. Like, one of my clients drives me nuts. I'm like, bud, you don't have enough. Stop. It's too risky. He's way more okay with risk than I am. Frankly, something self-awareness that I've had recently is I'm actually a very conservative business owner. Like, I haven't invested into my business like I should have, to the detriment of growing it to where it could be now. Self-awareness. So what you just said of like, identify that thing that you fear the most, run into the punch, just even pausing here of just like, if you're listening to this, think about that for a second. Push the pause button. Go back and listen to what Tom said a few times. Because again, the reason you're listening to this is not to you're listening to this to get something from it, to take action from it. So like, pause and think about that for yourself. What is that? Because once you identify it, boy, you can do something about it. So hey, sorry to interrupt, but carry on.
When you step into the punch, when you go toe to toe with the thing that freaks you out or you're afraid of, and I don't care who you are, we're all afraid of something. Okay, yep. We're all afraid, whatever it might be. But when you do that, good stuff usually happens. There's more opportunity. So anyway, make a long story short, the last day of this event. They even made you go last day. Like, the pressure is built. You're not even like the first day. I spoke on, I think, the first day, but it was a week long. And the last day of the event, and here's what's even funnier. You walked in the room and there's all these things on the wall. Everyone's bio, all the speakers' bios are on the wall. And this guy's founded this company. This guy's a billionaire in the oil industry. This guy's, honest to God truth. Yeah. And then you get to mine and it's like a paragraph. He's from the Chicago area. He's a Marine and he ran a painting company. It was like 3 sentences. So the first day I walked into the room and all that fear that I built up, just came right in my face. Like, it's right there on the wall for everybody to see, this loser. Right. And, so I spoke and I'm like, all right, how can I do this? So I get up in front of the group and I go, hey guys, I'm Tom and I didn't go to college. And I rode the short.
Got in front of it.
My crap in front of the group, and I talked about some things. It wasn't a long talk or anything. And then I was on a panel discussion later that day and some other stuff. And then at the end of that day, they did these breakouts where all the speakers went around this beautiful complex we were in. And we had like buckets of beer sitting there, and the guys could come up to whatever speaker they wanted. And I think there were about 100 guys at the event. And I had like 30, 35 dudes come to mine. And what I kept hearing from them, which was hilarious, was, and they meant it in a good way, was, it's nice to see somebody here that's not so impressive. And so, and we connected. Okay, so fast forward a couple of days, last day of the event, all these massive gazillionaire guys are on the board of this organization. They invite me to sit in their board meeting on the last day. And I was only there because my buddy's on the board, right? Yep. And I grabbed a piece of paper and a pen, and I sat down at this big round table, and I'm like, I'm going to write down what I'm thinking through the meeting, just in case somebody asks me to share what I'm thinking. Then I'll know what I'm thinking. Right? That's how my brain works, right? So we get to the end of the meeting, and I'm like, nobody's going to call me out and this and that. And some dude who owns this multi-gazillion-dollar lumber company around the world or something, they were talking about marketing their organization, their nonprofit organization, and how they can, do a better job of marketing it. And the guy who leads the thing, he's literally a billionaire. He goes, all right, I think we're good. And this lumber guy goes, hey, well, Tom's new here. Tom, what do you think? And I spoke for literally 40, 45 seconds. I said, I think you should do this. I think blah, 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 blah. they're all nodding, looking at me. And the guy who leads the thing looks at his intern or his assistant. He goes, do we have the capability to do everything that Tom just said? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, all right, let's do it. Meeting adjourned. They get up, they all walk out. I'm sitting there alone at this table, man. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? And I get up, I walked outside, I'm looking at the Sea of Cortez and the sun is going down. It couldn't have been more perfect. And I grab a cold Corona or whatever it was at the time, Pacifico, I don't remember. And I remember thinking, and I had tears in my eyes, and I literally went, oh my God, I'm not stupid. And that moment, since that moment, and I hate this term I'm going to use, level up, my income, my relationships, my life, my vision, my dreams, it was like the heavens opened up and everything has like 20, 30x'd over the past several years. And I can trace it back to that moment of making a decision to buy that damn plane ticket, to fly down there.
Taking a step into the fear.
So walk into the punch, okay? Because one of my big fears is I didn't have what it takes to run with the big dogs, right? That was at the root of this. I wasn't smart enough to run with these guys. And we all have those things. And it might not be exactly like mine, but we all have something that's just poking at us, that we're dragging around, and we're going to continue to drag it around until we make a choice to deal with it. And now listen, I still have occasional flare-ups of this, right? Of this insecurity and things like that. And that's where it's really important to build your confidence and some things like that, so that when those things do flare up, you recognize it and you squash it right away. So.
Yeah. So, one thing that comes to mind, two things actually. One is the amount of feedback I get of, oh, wow, other people are going through the same thing. Well, wait a minute. Everybody doesn't have all of this figured out. We have this mentality that we think everybody has it all figured out. Everybody's got so far ahead of us. Everybody's making 5 times as much money. Everybody's got better work life. And when we get into, this is also coaching, this is also surrounding yourself with people, is realizing, oh, wait a minute, I'm not the only one out there. That so often can shift a mindset, and being open, being transparent, like what you just shared is like, that's real. That's just real. And that's another thing I just want to highlight is especially for men. And I see it, and now I'm naturally like, I gravitate towards realness and transparency and wanting just to like, let's just talk. Like, you're giving me bull crap. Like, no, what's beyond that? But as men, we have this facade where it's hard for us to get to that level of realness. So whoever that might be in your life, if like to set up a lunch with them, like this is real practical, like tactical, right? Like somebody in your life you can be real with and like say, dude, I'm struggling with this. Let's get real stinking real. One of my buddies took his life last fall. You want to get real? Like that's as real as it gets. And he was struggling. And like the people closest to him knew, but they only knew some of it. Like it's real. And we carry this around with us. And literally it goes on for decades. Like what you just described, you had an amazing story of breaking through. It should inspire people. It has inspired people. But do we realize that if you don't do anything about it, it's not going to change? Like you can go year after year after year, decade after decade, and then all of a sudden now you're 58 years old, which by the way, you still got lots of life to live. So if you're 58 or older listening to this, dude, you got a lot going on still. But we kick it down the road for so long. To make today the day, make a decision to step into the punch, to step into some fear and to figure out. I've had two of my clients who I'd say, that surprises me. 2 of my clients say, you know what? I've had buddies who are going and seeing therapists lately. Like they're going to see, their buddies are going to see therapists, not because like something's crazy broken, but because they just got some crap in their head to sort out. And both of my clients have been inspired by that to the point where they're going and seeing somebody. And wouldn't you know it? They're getting their crap together. They're thinking through things. They're making decisions. They're improving. They're stepping into fear. They're talking about that stuff. So like I wasn't expecting to go that road with this, but you inspired me to talk about that because that's real.
Yeah,
carry on.
The strongest, most confident men open up. It's that simple. The most insecure guys, the guys that feel like they don't measure up and all this other stuff, they're the ones that, and I've been this guy, so I know the difference. And honestly, I will occasionally dip back into being this guy.
Sure.
Because I will feel like I got to talk myself up. I got to be impressive and all this other stuff. And when I hear myself doing that and feeling that, I know that my confidence is taking a dive, and I'm being I'm an idiot. I just, what I've learned is, one of my best friends and business partners called me up last night, and I'll spare you all the details, but he's like, I did a live video last night on Facebook. He calls me up and says, hey, can I give you some man advice? And I said, yeah. And he basically, in a very direct way, was like, dude, this came across this way, this came across this way, this came across this way. And you know what I did? I looked at him and I go, Derek, thanks, man. I'm going to write that crap down, and I'm going to make it a point next time in the video not to do that crap. Whatever I did, right? And because that's not the point. But the point is true.
I mean, I am kind of curious what you did, but let's carry on.
No, it was nothing bad. It was some of the things that was coming out of my mouth. I was portraying just some bullshit.
Yeah.
And he called me out on it. And
because he knows you. Because he knows. Yeah.
The strongest men are coachable. The strongest men, hold their eyes up, open their chest up to the world, and go, bring it. Give me what you got, because it's going to make me better. And I know what it's like as men. We have this. We're leaders of our household. Meaning we have this pressure to provide and protect and all this other stuff. We're the leader of our business, and we feel like we got to have it all together all the time. And not that we need to be rolled up in the corner, balled up and crying and things like that all the time. Although every now and then that does.
I love a good cry, by the way, Tom.
But like the strongest men are secure enough and have relationships where they could talk to one another like this and go, because it was funny, my same partner, about when we got off the phone, he was hanging up and I heard him say something, and it was really harsh and bitter. And I thought he was saying it to his wife. And him and I have had talks about his marriage and relationship and some things like that. I know some of the things they're working on. So I had to do something with one of my kids. We had dinner, and then I texted my buddy and I said, hey, call me when you get a minute. He called me. It was like 8:30 last night. And I said, hey, when we were getting off the phone, I heard this. Did you direct that to her? And he started laughing. He's like, oh, no, a buddy of mine came or walked in the room or whatever it was. And but it's just having that freedom with each other, not pretending, but just going, how are we going to sharpen each other? How are we going to make each other better? That all starts with getting, I know one of the things we talked about a little bit was talking about confidence, right? And is it cool if we talk about that a little bit? Because I think this is a game changer for guys.
Yes. I wanted to hold that thought, because I'm going to lose my thought if I don't interject it here of, and sometimes we get so, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed, it's like, okay, that's all cool, guys, but like, how do I do that? It's just like, it's one step. Like what I said earlier, maybe you have somebody in your life who you respect and who you maybe connected with, like text them and say, hey, can we get breakfast? Like one step, one reach out can be the unlock to a really strong, healthy path. And by the way, we're talking about the guys. Hi, ladies. I know you guys are listening too. Hopefully this is relevant. It is.
Guys,
confidence.
Yeah.
Confidence.
How do I make changes in my business? How do I grow my remodeling company? I work with a lot of remodelers and things like that, builders and GCs and every specialty trade and this and that. And it's like, they're like, why am I not further along in my business? Right. And then they'll come to me and they'll go, I'm just not motivated. Just not motivated. And here's the thing, motivation is crap. Motivation is a temporary thing. I mean, let's face it. I'm not motivated to do my 100 push-ups a day. I'm sure as heck not motivated to do my burpees. I'm not motivated to do a lot of things that are uncomfortable because our brain wants to protect us. Our ancient brain, lizard brain, whatever the heck they call it. I don't know all the terms, but it is trying to protect us from discomfort. Okay. And so motivation, you could listen to a podcast, you can go to an event and you have this spike of motivation and I'm going to do this and blah, 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 like New Year's resolutions, right?
Sure.
And let's just talk.
Hey, by the way, it's June 14th. How's everybody's New Year's resolutions going?
So what what's really the key issue is that it's going to be your habits that get you where you want to go. And so habits, I have the habit here. Where is it? It's in my pocket. I have a daily sheet right here of the 4 most important things that I got to do each day. And it's filled out right there.
Yep.
And I have the habit. And if I don't do all 4 things, I put an L on the day and it's a loss. I got to go 4-0 to have a winning day. That's just my thing, but it's a habit. Every morning I do certain things. And one of those things is I fill this thing out and I carry it in my pocket and I write down some affirmations and stuff like that. So here's the deal. Confidence is going to be the result of a few different things. Okay. So here's how it works. Your thoughts, what we put into our head, this comes back to whole why I have the Contractor Fight. Your thoughts that go into your head, good or bad, eventually become your beliefs. Your beliefs will lead to the actions you take or don't take. And then those will produce the results you do or don't want to have. Okay. But it all starts. So and here's why this is important. We have to take control of what we put into our brain every day, because we have 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day. 90% of those thoughts, this blow your mind. 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday, because we live our life on autopilot. And 90% of the things that we think each day are typically negative. All right.
Yep.
So those are the thoughts that we're allowing to roll around in our brain that become our beliefs, that become our actions or lack of actions. And then we get the results we want or don't want. And so if you want to truly, say you got a money issue, you're insecure about talking about money, then you got to start putting things in your head that are like, money's easy to make. Money's out there waiting for me. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You need to hang around people that talk like that. And, when I walked into my punch in Cabo, one of the things I noticed when I started hanging around a new group of friends like that is they would start saying things like, well, it's only 120 grand. It's only, $500,000. It's only this. Well, what does that do? Those thoughts start creeping into my brain, where before I used to think like 20 grand was a lot of money. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Changing. So I got 4 things here that when I speak, coach, and things like that, that I want to talk about confidence here.
Yeah.
This is huge. First thing, if you want to increase your confidence, you gotta make sure you're hanging around the right people.
Absolutely.
All right. Hands down. And that there's been enough said on every podcast in the world about that, right? Number 2, keep promises to yourself. So if you say you're going to do 100 push-ups today, then frickin' do 100 push-ups today. If you say you're going to go to the gym at 6 a.m., go to the gym at 6 a.m. If you say you're going to block out a time from 9 to 10 in the morning to make follow-up calls on your open bids or whatever it is out there, honor the commitment you make to yourself. Because every time you break that commitment to yourself, somewhere in your brain, your subconscious, it's basically saying, see, you're not disciplined. See, you don't have what it takes. But every time you fulfill a promise to yourself, your chest gets a little bigger and you're a little more of a badass. Third thing is overdose on discomfort. We never grow unless we're uncomfortable. I don't care what it is. Discomfort is a really, really good thing. And then finally, take pride in yourself. Too many contractors are burning the candles at both ends. They're not getting enough sleep. They're not working out. They're not doing the hobbies that they love to do. I'm a drummer. I played drums my whole life. I got paid to do it and all this other stuff. And I went like 4 or 5 years without ever really playing my drums. And just in the last, 6 months or so, I really started going back and doing these things that I love to do. Mm-hmm. And we don't do these things. We don't go to the gym. We don't get sleep and all this because we feel like, oh my God, if I take any time for myself here, my business is going to suffer, when the opposite is actually true. If you're not getting oxygen yourself, then you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your business and everybody around you. So you want to increase your confidence, hang out with the right people, keep promises to yourself, OD on discomfort, and have pride in yourself, have pride in your body, the way you look, the way you feel, things like that. And I promise you, you're going to be BAMF. See, I'm trying not to swear. All right. So I'll let figure that out.
Yes. That was very sweet of you. Cause my listeners are sauce butterflies who can't handle. If you're watching on YouTube, it says in the background, warning, F-bombs dropping. And I told Tom, I said, it's all right, but if you're going to drop 10 of them, usually, maybe just drop a couple, but it's all good. You did amazing. I think you may have said
YouTube channel, you're going to get an earful of
this. I think you may have said the word ass earlier, though.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. That just even here. So say those 4 things again. You're struggling with confidence. You're struggling with mindset. 4 things one more time, just because we got to keep repeating it.
Hang around.
Who you're hanging?
Winners, right?
Yep.
So like,
Number
listen,
2.
Here's real quick on that. A lot of guys are like, they're hanging around other broke contractors. They're hanging around other guys that are fat and out of shape. They're hanging around other guys that have shitty relationships. Okay. And they wonder why their life isn't changing, because you become who you hang with. It's that simple. Okay. So that's number 1. So look around. I mean, there was an old study years ago, you might remember this, but it's like they say you make within like 5 to 7% of the money the people you hang out with make. So when I started hanging out with guys that made, a couple million a year, guess what happened to me?
See, and what's interesting about that, and yes to the money factor, but the other things you just hit on, relationships and our health, like the exact same thing. Like if I'm hanging around a bunch of fat guys, chances are we're probably not going to be very active. Chances are I'm going to mentally, subconsciously, that's what so much of this sneaks up on us. It's like, doesn't matter what I eat. Like still a little skinnier than my boy over there, right? Good. So okay. And then number 2,
keep promises to yourself.
Number 3, that's a hard one, by the way, because everything we want to do. So I would say try that. And then if you fail miserably, then keep promises to yourself and one other dude that you can really, or one other dudette that you can really trust. Because sometimes that little accountability.
And the promises to yourself can be simple things like, I'm going to drink a gallon of water today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to let any of my open bids be more than 24 hours. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever, they don't have to be big game-changing things. These are all habitual things. These promises that we make to ourselves are habits, and our habits are a preview of our future. All right. So, you want to know how your life's going to be in 5 years. Look at your money habits, your health habits, your relationship habits, and you're going to get the same damn thing 5 years from now if you're not intentional about it. Third thing is overdose on discomfort. Look for the hard way. Look for the hard way. We're a lot like water. Water always takes the path of least resistance and weasels its way through the house or the foundation or whatever it is, or mountains. We want to be water in a different way, like water that's consistent over 1,000 years always beats the rock. So, water's good and bad, right? That analogy, but overdose on discomfort. Look for ways. And that's a big one for me. In fact, one of my partners, the guy who called me out last night, coincidentally, his name's Derek. I told him, I said, I'm really having a hard time. One of my challenges that we have for each other is that we get uncomfortable every day. And when I think discomfort, I always think it's got to be this big, huge, scary thing. And he was great about it. He goes, well, dude, he says, how much content do you typically produce in a day? And I said, typically 3 to 4 pieces of content every day of the week, 7 days a week. And he goes, so you're pretty comfortable there, huh? I said, yeah.
I see where Derek's taking you.
And he says, why don't you make it 5? It could be that simple. Yeah. Or it could be and I do this with my push-ups. I do 100 push-ups a day, and then I do 1 more.
Yeah, and just trick yourself.
I just do 1 more.
Yeah.
I add a burpee a day right now. That's my other thing. I'm up to 30. Today I got to do 33 burpees. I freaking hate burpees.
Yeah. And something, a few things related to that. One is sometimes we got to kind of trick ourselves a little bit. I have been dishing out $20 Visa cards to my clients like crazy lately. I need to stop doing it because I was doing 50, then I moved it down to 20. Because some of my clients, I'm like, okay, you got to get this done. That was like 2 coaching calls ago, and they hadn't got it done yet. And I said, all right, $20 is either coming to you because you're going to get this task done on Friday at 4:00 p.m. Eastern time, by the way. And in this case, I'm thinking of Tony, even though you're Central, Eastern 4:00.
Yeah, Tony.
And if you don't, he did it, by the way. And if you don't do it, you're going to send me $20 and I'm going to love it. And immediately it went from, it's a task. I know I need to do it. It's a task, a chore, to I could just hear his competitive juice. Oh, I will not be sending you $20. And he knocked it out. So like sometimes we got to jar ourselves a little bit. That's discomfort. Like put some money into it. Have some fun with it sometimes too. Or just when you fail, like you're talking about push-ups and I'm talking about sit-ups. It's interesting. I had this thing called "Don't Break the Chain." It's actually a Jerry Seinfeld thing. You want to know why You want to know why Seinfeld's such an amazing writer and comedian and epic? Is because every day he doesn't break the chain, meaning every day he writes some type of content. Could be 10 minutes, could be 5 hours. Don't break the chain. For some reason, sit-ups and don't break the chain came to my head many months ago, and it became a thing of like 100 sit-ups a day, don't break the chain. I had an awesome chain going from February 23rd through like end of May, and what is it, June 14th? I broke the chain a couple weeks ago. I haven't started the chain back up yet. So let me beat myself up for who cares? Like today, get it done today. And I'm actually preaching it to myself right now. Like, are you going to do it? It's noon now. You going to do it this afternoon, Kyle? Right. So number 2 of like, get discomfort. There's so many, I love that. So many simple ways to do it. It's uncomfortable to hand $20 to your office manager because you said, all right, I'm going to get uncomfortable. If I don't get this done, I have to give you $20. Just stupid crap like that can sometimes, jar it. And then what was the fourth one?
Take pride in yourself.
Take pride in yourself.
Take care of you, right? I mean, it's your mind, your body, your relationships. And I think what most guys will find, I want to encourage everybody to take a couple days off in the next 7 days. Because I know remodelers, contractors, man, we're workhorses. We have a massive work ethic. But when you're always on, your brain and body has no place to recover. You're going to be less creative. It's funny, whenever I take days off, this is hilarious. You think I'd take more days off. Whenever I take days off, I have more money go into my account.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of happens. And I can't explain it, but
I can explain it. You have time to evaluate. You make adjustments to it. You think about what you're missing. You're more creative, which allows people to connect with you more. There's right? All of it. You feel more refreshed, so you do better work in a shorter amount of time. So a couple of things we gotta wrap it up. One, I've been looking for, and you're gonna have a final thought, or here's what you're gonna kind of say. Guys, guys and gals, if there's one like takeaway that I want you to have from this, here it is. I want you to kind of end with that before I end with the grand finale right here that I mentioned earlier. But I've been looking forward to this conversation because I knew, mindset and confidence. I feel like we went down some you had a ton of great content and ideas and thoughts and passion behind this. I think it's such a critical point. You can have a great sales process. You can have a great marketing plan. You can have a great, pre-construction kickoff meeting, this and that. When we lack the mindset, when we lack the confidence, it stunts our growth. It challenges us. It frustrates us. There's just so much that goes into it. So I think this went down different avenues, especially for my content. I think this content probably comes from you a lot, which is why I had you in. This content for my listeners, hopefully is something new and something fresh. And then one thing that just came, I wrote it down when you said it, of, the importance of what is going into your head, what is going into your ears, what are you filling your ears with? It's the same thing with what are you filling your employees' ears with? It is success in business, as much as it is mindset, confidence, it's also the team you surround yourself with. And if all they're hearing is, Tom, you didn't do this, and Tom, you didn't prep this, and Tom, you screwed this up. Like, I don't know what the percentage is, but 5 good things for every 1 corrective thing seems pretty good. Might seem almost too much, but try it and see if your team, if their mindset, if their confidence changes. Like, we undervalue the impact that us as leaders have with our employees and also just our trade partners, our strategic partners. That came to mind when you were talking about what are we filling our ears in, and that should be a challenge to all of us.
What comes out of your mouth as a leader to your people is part of the 90,000 thoughts they have each day.
Yeah.
Right.
And those are thoughts that really matter too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we're building them up. We want to make sure that it's positive and, not being part of the problem.
Absolutely. So give me, let me, this, I said grand finale, so we'll end with this. But give me your takeaway. Like, hey, if there's anything I want you guys to take away from this, here's what it is. I'll share one as well. And then also how people can connect with you and find you.
So what comes to mind, if I could leave, is a super quick story of a guy, a contractor. He's down in the South. 3.5 years ago, he was paying himself $70,000 a year. Okay. Last year he paid himself. I'm talking about paying himself, not revenue, not this is money in his
personal
pocket,
income.
just under $400,000. Okay, in about 3 years, little over 3 years. And the reason why is he chose it. He refuses to accept the scraps that most contractors work for. And we worked together for a while. He's still a great friend and things like that. But he decided, and this is what I want to encourage everybody, you got to remember, success is in your hands, otherwise you're a victim. All right? Success is a choice. So whatever you have right now, success, lack of success, the struggle you're going through, crappy bank account, all this stuff, it is absolutely a choice. Now, there's a lot of things you can't control. I can't control the economy and a bunch of other stuff that we've talked about before. But what I can control is my attitude and my actions. And if everybody would just truly get that, walk away with that, refuse to be a victim, I guarantee you are going to see massive, massive results in any area of your life that you apply that to.
Love it. How can people find you?
thecontractorfight.com, or just put in the Contractor Fight on YouTube or podcasts and social media. I'm all over.
You'll find it. Cool. And what would be my takeaway? My biggest takeaway is we underestimate the impact that mindset and confidence play into certainly our business. But for some reason, what's coming to my mind is even outside of business, like a lot of people listen, significant others, spouses, kids, our relationships outside, our confidence and mindset and success, and it just plays such a factor in our entire lives. So that comes to mind. And then I think that other takeaway of identify what that one thing that comes to your mind related to fear is and step into it. Because if you don't do that now, that means you're probably not going to do it 6 months from now, a year from now, and you're going to regret it. Like regret is a really crappy thing. And like you said, it's up to you to do it. Nobody's going to do it for you. Right. So lots of good thoughts here. I will end with this, and it's interesting. It's funny because on the computer, if you're watching on YouTube, you see that this is straight. If you're here in person, it's actually crooked because I'm in a building that was built in 1840s. So it's all wonky. But this is something called The One You Feed. And it's an artist that all of the words that I'm about to read in this are actually like in this image and I in the other. And it really kind of relates to that fight, right? And it says, an old Cherokee told his grandson, my son, you heard this one? Yeah. My son, there's a battle between two wolves inside us all. One is evil. It's anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth. The boy thought about it and asked, Grandfather, which wolf wins? The old man quietly replied, the one you feed. It's true, right? The one you feed. Any thoughts on that to close out, man?
As you're reading it, I'm just sitting here going, you couldn't have ended with anything better, because that's about what we're choosing to put in here, right?
Yep.
We put in our head that become our beliefs, and what is it? You reap what you sow.
Yeah.
There
you go. So that was the grand finale, folks. Tom, we will probably do it again. We'll get into maybe more practical like coaching and that side, but this was great. Really appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
So if you enjoyed listening to this recording, I have a hunch that you would really enjoy being a participant in Remodeler's Community. It is a private Facebook group, free of charge. I have a lot of my remodeling clients in there. I have a lot of people who have just followed my work for a number of years. And the conversation is on a variety of topics on how to improve your remodeling business. A lot of just great people willing to share a lot of ideas, templates, tools. Did I mention it's free of charge? Go to remodelerscommunity.com and it'll redirect you right to where you can request to join the private Facebook group. remodelerscommunity.com. I'll see you on there.